Welcome, my friends and family. Welcome to the West Best Media Present. Excuse me, a hard-hitting episode confronting the crisis at the heart of Africa. Diplomatic House, the African Union. Create a unit now accused of division. Today, we ask: Is the African Union still relevant, or just a puppet in someone else's game? Before we get started, I'll ask you please to subscribe, like, and share. Okay, let's get started. When the African Union, when the organization of the African Union became the African Union in 2002, it was meant to be a turning point, a body of peace for progress, for African solution to the African problem. But with more than 20 years later, that promise looked broken. From Sudan, civil war, to the DRC, forgotten conflicts, and now defined rise of the AES bloc. Many are asking, where is the AU? Let's be real. When Mali, Burkina Faso, Niger expel French troops, declare their independence from the Western domination, the AU respond not with support but with condemnations. No major inventions in the Sudan, where over 14,000 have died since April 2023. This source is from Al Jazeera, May 2024. That's where I got this information from. No real movement in the Congo, where Western-backed militants continue to plunge and steal the resources. Over 6 million people have died in this silent genocide since 1990. And still, the AU remained mute. Why? Here is the mainstream. Here's what the mainstream is not telling you. I'm talking about mainstream media. They avoid telling you this, that over 60% of the AU budget is funded by external partners like the EU, China, and the United States. Source where I got this was from was the AU budget report of 2023. Even an AU headquarters in Addis Ababa was built and gifted by the Chinese at a cost of $200 million. So, my question: who owns the AU, or what is the purpose of the AU? That's why my call for a new AU, a completely overhaul of this AU, a brand new AU, with moving its headquarters from Addis Ababa to the Central African Republic. Yes, the Central African Republic, where we have those crises happening. The African Republic, Democratic Republic of Congo, That's where the headquarters needs to be stated for the AU. Why? The AU will be in the center of the conflict. So tell me, if someone builds your house and pay your bills, how independent are you? That's why the AU need to be removed from Addis Ababa into the Central Republic of Congo. Africa, African countries need to step up to their responsibility. They need to reform, maybe not even reform, but start a new Africa Union. And maybe you don't have to, it don't even have to be called Africa Union. It can be called the Alliance of African States or the Alliance of African State and the Diaspora. This is why many Africans now see the AU not as a protector, but as a proxy. Because when someone pays your bill, they call, they play also the tune they want you to dance to. A recent viral video claimed shook up Pan-African circles that Nigerian President Bola Tinubu and the AU invited Captain Ibrahim Traore of Burkina Faso under the disguise of a diplomatic summit, but planned to arrest him. Now, let me say this. I have done my checks and my research. I cannot find any credible evidence that the AU and Nigeria had invited Ibrahim Traore to a summit. So I just want to make that clear that I have not found any credible evidence for that. And let's be clear. As I said, there's no variable evidence this invitation ever exist. No AU press release, no Nigerian confirmation, just a viral TikTok and WhatsApp forward. So I just want to make that clear that I have no evidence that the AU or Nigeria was in cahoot trying to arrest Ibrahim Traore. I try to be fair and factual as possible. But you see, even if the AU had invited Traore, Traore is no fool. He knows the AU doesn't recognize his government. And if he stepped onto hostile soil, he risked being handed over to The Hague. So he knows that. But again, like I said, there was no credible evidence to support that. So I just want to debunk that for now. Because I know there's a lot of viral videos going around, stuff making up about Ibrahim Traore and other governments. And I'm trying to stay clear of those things as good as possible. But let's get back to the AU and the Alliance of the Sahel region. In contrast, the Alliance of the Sahel states, Mali, Burkina Faso, Niger, is building a Pan-African path. No French boots, no IMF strings, and no AU bureaucrats. They are creating a joint military force, economic integrations, and regional security, free from outside interference. So call it a rogue alliance. I call it Africa finally standing up for itself. So that's my call. The AU need to be abolished and rebuilt. A new organization doesn't have to be the AU. It could be, like I said, it could be called the Alliance of the African States and the Diaspora. My people, for too long, Africa is in a limbo, mainly because of the leaders we have who dance to the tune of foreign countries, France, European Union, and America. We need leaders who are bold and stand up for their people and believe in their people. Here's the question: can the AU be reformed? Or is it time to build something new? I would say a resulting yes, we need to build something new. Dissolve the AU and start from scratch. What if we created a confederation of sovereign African states with elect with elected grassroots delegates, funded only by African resource, with zero strings attached from foreign countries. And yes, African countries can fund this new organization. The leaders of these African countries just have to have their priorities straight. If you look at what's going on in the AES countries now, they're rebuilding their economy with no IMF loan, with no World Bank loan, but from the resources of their country. Africa is the richest continent in the world, yet it's the poorest. We have all the resource that others come to pillage and steal. My thing is, I don't see why Africa is in the situation it's in. Our leaders need to step up or step out. The, we have now some bold young leaders stepping forward, like in those three countries I mentioned earlier, Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger. There's a bold young leader in Botswana. Chad has a pretty young leader. Senegal has a pretty young leader. That's where the union, if you're going to get a strong union or confederation in Africa, that's where it would start, in those countries. Not the traditional countries like the Ghana, Nigeria, or these other countries, Ethiopia. They're too tied to the West. So, an African Union born from the hope, born from hope, but now it walks in a tightrope between the people and the puppeteers. It's up to us to decide, do we want to fix the house or we want to burn it down and rebuild anew? My thing is reburn it and build anew. That's my opinion. If you believe in a strong sovereignty for Africa, subscribe to this channel, share this podcast, let your voices be heard, because silence is no longer an option. Let me repeat that again, my friends and family. If you believe in the sovereignty of Africa, please subscribe to this channel. Share this podcast. Let your voices be heard because silent is no longer an option. By sharing and subscribing, it's telling me that you need me to produce more podcasts like this. Speak the truth about Africa and Africans and tell the people at it as is. Don't sugarcoat it. Again, my friends and family, have a blessed day. See you in the next podcast.